Hello all and welcome to another Sunday Q&A. Today we're in the garden because it's a nice day. It's too nice a day to be stuck indoors. It's not that warm, but it's sunny, it's nice. So, and as opposed to having Steve in the background, the wooden man, instead we have Janik, the green 15-foot tall ivy man, which I decided to grow one day when my daughter's swings started to get covered in ivy and I thought they look like legs. Right, I'm going to start off by saying thank you. I did that video about the house. I was in two minds of whether to do it or not. I really didn't want to come across flash, and I didn't know how to be received. I might be, you kind of think you're going, oh, you think you are like, but no, everybody's been very, very kind. And yes, thank you very much. It is the home. It is the home that my daughter grew up in, and we do love it. And I am incredibly lucky to have it. Also, some great advice as well, particularly from C11 Yan, from him, who has led me to pointed me to the fact that you can now get lifetime mortgages, which means my wife might actually get her wish to be taken out of here in a box. And if it means me working to do the rest of my days, I'll do it. Don't mind. Besides, I kind of like what I do, so what else are you going to do? Enjoy the garden. That wouldn't be too bad. I like my garden. Right. Also, yeah. I want to draw your attention to a guy. One of the guys who did turn around, there's a guy out there called Nick James, and he said, great story, mate. He said, I'm not sure I could live on the edge like that. I'd choose the route of buying a cheap place in France at 50 and retiring without a single debt. We're all different. Firstly, Nick, mate, you was a racing driver. Don't tell me I'm not sure I could live on the edge. I'm not sure that I could live driving a car around a track at 200 miles an hour, knowing that any stage I could crash into a barrier and die. 56 is my limit. Also, the guy's got his own YouTube channel, and he is the original Sunday Q&A. I nicked my idea off of him. I mean, I said this to him. I said, thank you. He said, trust me, there are loads of people that are doing Sunday Q&A. But without Nick, there would have been no Sunday Q&A. So if you can, I'm going to do a link to his channel. Please check him out. He's this crazy old rocker. He lives in France. Nice geezer. And if you can subscribe, please subscribe. I mean, you don't have to watch him all the time, but everybody, us YouTubers, we love a subscriber. If you haven't subscribed to me, please subscribe. But check this guy out. Nice guy. And like I say, I owe him for the Sunday Q&A. So please check him out. Nick James. I'll do a link. Nick, horns up. That's his life. Anyhow, what we got this week? So, Luton or truck. So this has gone on really. It's like, which one should you have? Should you have Luton? Should you have truck? There are pros and cons of both. I like trucks. I drive a truck, so I'd be crazy if I didn't, sort of. Oh, by the way, I'm going to split this into two because otherwise it rambles on. It takes so long to upload it to YouTube now. On a Saturday afternoon, if you upload it, sometimes it can take almost a day. It's all. I think last Sunday morning I checked it still hadn't done. Whether it's to do with like my broadband speed or their upload speeds, but I'm just going to do it in two, so you're going to get half on Monday as well. Sorry about that. Right, Luton or truck. Domain name guy says agencies are starting to advertise on job websites and. They're paying around for 7.5 tonne, £11-ish per hour, and class 2, £12-ish per hour. Apparently, I mean, Ian Two Eyes Merrick has said this. I think there is a shortage of truck drivers out there. We're still getting them. We've got to, and we kind of. One of them wasn't sure if he's going to stay with us or not, so we put the advert out there, and you do get the phone calls, so they are out there. But at the same time, it strikes me you could do an awful lot worse, Van on a Run says, he said, I've not given up completely on moving to a truck myself. It wouldn't be until 2023 at the earliest though. He said, what is the minimum length needed for an 18-tonne loaded bed in your view? The trucks dictate themselves. You'll see it on eBay. It doesn't really matter the size. You'll see them on eBay and you'll go, that's the one. But as a general rule of thumb, I think with a 7.5 tonne, you want a 6 metre bed. And with an 18 tonne, you want a 7 metre bed. Bigger can be better, but at the same time, there's a pros and cons to everything. There'll be areas you can't get into because you're too long. But yeah, I think that's about right. He said, I'm thinking it needs to be 7 metres plus in order to get 14 UK pallets in. You can get 14. I think you can I get 10 on my 7.5 tonne. You can get 14 on the 18 tonnes. The truth of the matter is I can get 12 on my 7.5 tonne, but you've got the problem with the pallet truck. And because you want to be running with a tail lift and a pallet truck, you kind of give yourself two over at the end. Having said that, you can get the pallet truck off onto the tail lift, load the 14 pallets on, and then get the pallet truck slammed in at the back underneath the pallet, and you should still have enough space to close the doors. It can be done. Or get the fork truck driver to take the pallet truck off, load the 14 pallets on if you can, and then put the pallet truck on top when you're finished. And then throw a strap over it or not. So there are ways. He says also what load area, what was the minimum height you would say? Yeah, this is another one with the 7.5 tons come in handy because they've got smaller wheels. My height through my curtain is 2.47. I've almost got 2.5 metres through my curtain, and I sometimes get loads because I am short sticking it on a 6-axle, which is going to cost you a lot more money. You can put it on mine. I think with the others they've got about 220 through the curtain, which is enough. It should be plenty enough for most jobs you're going to do. So, and he said, I've seen that most 18 tons weigh around 8 tons unladen, so they should carry around 10 tons. I'll be honest, I don't know that one. I really should. Very rarely do I see a job where I think it might be overloaded. You know, with me, you know, you've got to watch it. 2.5 ton, it's very easy. If you know, I could, like I say, I could take 10 pallets standing my head. 10 pallets coat weighs 10 ton. But when you can take 10 ton, you've got, you know, if you're going to put, yeah, it's very rare. Don't get me wrong, you've got to be vigilant. They could load you full of steel, you can go like that, you have a skyrocket. But it's not so much, that's another advantage of being in an 18 ton. You know, the fear of overloading is massively reduced. Then I'll probably get a load of people telling me why I'm wrong on that one, but please do, because everything's an education. I'll also, by the way, thank you very much for all your help on the one I did about a walk round. It's now become very apparent that my walk round is, even though it's my lorry, woefully inadequate. I even had a mention from my cousin Darren. Hello Darren, you don't even drive a truck. You work for Ocado, you drive a van. But I love my cousin, he's great. But what I'm going to do with that one is I've kept all your comments to one side. I'm going to do a supplementary on the walk round check. But first of all, I'm going to take on board everything you said, and I'm going to improve my walk round check. And then I'm going to do another one, like, you know, the Mark II, because my walk round check is clearly not enough. Thanks for the heads up. No one wants a tug from the DVSA going, did you check the nuts this morning? What did you check them with? Whoops, I've got markers on the back, but I haven't got markers on the front. I should get markers. No. Right. A. Barton, still on Luton van or truck. He said, I did 20 years on an HGV and I bought a van 7 years ago. Best thing I've ever done, and I wish I'd done it sooner. Got a night heater fitted in the van. I got a gas stove with a kettle. He loves it. Everybody's different. You do you. Just do you, be happy. That's the score. Be fine. Steve Campbell. He's up to chapter 3 of his book called An Idiot Inside. Steve, when it comes out, give us a shout, we'll give you a plug. I had my diesel nicked while parked on Thursday. I shouldn't laugh, that's not funny. Parked on Thursday night on the A43 just up the road from Chadwell Services. Had an easy day on Friday, Milton Keynes, M&S straight up to Washington, dropped the trailer and home, because he lives up that way. He said, I miss van driving, but I'm enjoying a new job at the minute. I've been asked what truck he's going to have. Oh, and also there's emission zones. This is another one that's come up. Bath has an emission zone. Why Bath? Don't know. I think Birmingham has, and London obviously has. Manchester, I think, is getting one. The Newcastle one, according to Steve, has been cancelled. Anybody know anything about emission zones coming to an area near you? Give me a shout so I can give everybody a heads up, because it's the kind of thing we want to know about. He said, I don't get paid for brake where I am now. This is another thing about, am I on brake, aren't I on brake? And it is a big issue. If you, as a shipper, don't pay your drivers to be on brake, they're not going to put it on brake. Not unless they really have to, which means that you're very, which can drag out your working day and overtime. But having said that, I mean, Godzilla's, we'll come to it later, there are areas where you are on brake and you are not on brake. He says, I find a killer. He said, I find waiting is a killer, but I'm getting paid good money. The waiting is the worst bit. In lorries, the waiting is the worst bit. And you just want to get going. And it doesn't matter that they're paying you to sit there. Sitting there, it's just you sit there watching your life ebb away. It's awful. So, I mean, admittedly, I've got the computer. I can get the book out. I make videos. But find something constructive to do in my time. But if I didn't, I met a guy once, actually. He was on a door. He was learning to play ukulele. I thought he could do worse. He's sitting there going, bang, 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 bang. Could be worse. Steve at STD Services says he's having a bit of a moan about weights after going on about 18 tonnes and what they can carry and all that. He says, called into a place last week, picked up 4 printer pallets, asked the weight. They said it's about a tonne, mate. And so I took them. I thought I was going to burn my clutch out. A couple of days later, in the same area, got asked to do the same job. So I asked him to weigh them. As the gaffer would come out, he wasn't happy. He said, it turns out that each one of his pallets weighed 350 kilos each. So he had 1,400 kilos on his van. He said, my van carries 1,100 kilos. Here's my weight lift certificate. I said, I'll take 3. But you send another van in for the other one. The bloke wasn't happy. But he said, but you've got to be wise, because if you pick them up, if you get pulled over, it's your neck on the block. You can't turn around and go, oh, they told me it was a tonne. The only thing you can do is, if you think it's overweight, you can legally drive to the nearest weighbridge, and if you weigh in too heavy, you can drive it back again. Now that will stand if you're in Dunstable and you drive to a weighbridge which is in Luton. You can go, that's the nearest one. If you're in Dunstable and you say, I'm driving to my nearest weighbridge, and you're near Liverpool, that won't wash. So you do have to find the nearest one and go to it, but you can do that. The best thing to do is to try and avoid the whole thing altogether if you can, but it is a fear, So Godzilla says, right, we go on that brakes thing I said about earlier on. He said, must have missed a video. He said, my 2 Pennyworth brakes. A brake is where you're free to do what you like within the designated and earned brake time. That's your basic legal standpoint. You're free to do as you please, as it's your time. If, however, you're on site, you're unable to leave that site to do what you wish, then, sir, you are not on brake, because you're controlled by circumstance, and therefore it's other work. That other work is to be available to leave when you decide and complete the day's task. You're on standby. So anywhere that doesn't pay me for a break doesn't get me on their seat, which is a fair point, as I said earlier on. If you're not paying for breaks, then for 3/4 of an hour of your day can disappear, or you just make sure that every time you're on a door, that's other work. And this seems to be the thing. If you're an owner-driver, if you're on a door, you want it on break, because it extends your working day. You can get out there and you can restart your next job with all your driving hours cleared. If you're an employee, you want it on other work, particularly if you're not getting paid for break, because otherwise you're sitting on site for someone else, wasting your day, and you're not even getting paid for it. That doesn't make any sense. But I think the break other work thing, I think you're right. I think really by rights, if you're on site, on a bay, it should be other work. Whether you could explain it away by saying I'm doing my hobby in the cab while I'm here, utilising my time, I don't know. It's a bridge I will hopefully never have to cross. We'll see. Mark Evenson says, Pete, I was driving class 1. He said, I would prefer to drive your size of vehicle as a puddle jumper. This is it. I've never heard this before. I've even Googled it. I don't know why. Apparently, this is, I'll keep saying all the way through. I'm learning all the way through this. 7.5 tonnes are called puddle jumpers. And I don't know if you guys know, I do write books. I've nearly finished my 3rd one at the moment. The 2nd one I didn't publish. I didn't like it. And the first one's out there as it is. But I suddenly had this idea. 2 things that done it. Firstly, the fact that 7.5 tonnes are called puddle jumpers, and the other one is I delivered on a multi-drop. I did that video on it on my day on the CX. Was it tough? And I was delivering some laminate flooring to a residential address. So I've opened up the back doors, unfolded the tail lift, got it up, and as I'm you're wheeling the pallet truck and the tail's going out, there's this kid at the window like this. Absolute kids and lorries, boys, love them. I've done it before when I was on the market and I had the tail lift, and they just look at you. You say, do you want to go? Come on, you have a go up and down. They would ride that tail lift for the next 4 hours, just up and down, up and down. And I'm thinking, what about a great kids book, Pete and the Puddle Jumper? The story of a young man, well, not obviously in the book he'd be a young man, and his baby Lorry, and the adventures they have together. People bought Postman Pat and Thomas the Tank Engine. I've just got to write them and then learn how to draw the cartoons. I think I'll get someone else to draw the cartoons. You've seen my drawings? My wife can draw. I can't draw. Right, puddle jumper. It says, also, Pete, when you get your class 2, 100% go for your class 1. If you ever get fed up with the courier business, you've always got it to fall back on. He says, now I understand you will have your class 2, but, and I like that. He said, just having a class 1 license. I want it all. I want class 2, class 1, then motorbike. I did my CBT back in the day. I fell off and still passed. How that happened, I don't know. Get a DAS so that you can drive all the motorbikes. Then I'll learn to fly a plane. and maybe a helicopter. Why not? You know, it's an adventure, isn't it? So, or maybe I'll just get the class 2 and we'll see where we go. Oh, just one at a time, mate. One problem at a time. Ian Merritt with 2 eyes. Thanks for shout out, P. This week I've been mostly looking at the van membership of the Road Haulage Association. He says, but he thinks that £37.62 a month it's not worth having if you're tendering for contracts with a view to scaling up. In other news, Ronnie Barker styling. I'm seriously thinking of doing my class 1. Why? 76,000 HGV driver shortage and climbing in the UK, and 2 EU national drivers may have gone back to their own country. So, you know, it does strike me there could be a shortage of drivers at the moment. Don't quote me, I don't know if there is. Like I say, you could do worse. And finally, Van on the Run says, interested to know, Pete, what is the going rate for a 7.5 tonne or an 18 tonne? To an end user on a 7.5 tonne, you're looking at about 500 quid, maybe up to 6. On the exchange, you're looking at round about 400 quid. The day rate I did on the multi drop, I got 4.5 for. I have had people want me on a day rate of a 7.5 tonne before at £300. Say no. You can get nearly that for one job going just over 100 miles. You just don't need the grief all day long. It's just, you know, don't get me wrong, there are people out there on the exchange that are running for like, we've seen them, that are quoting 150, 120 a mile in a 7.5 tonne. Underquoting. You get that money in a Luton van. You just have to wait for their jobs to sell to them, and then when they've run out of them, they'll come to you. So they might be getting jobs quicker, but I would say you'd be looking at around about, say, £2.50 a mile, either in the 7.5 tonne or the 18 tonne, roundabout. More for the 18 tonne, slightly less, but around about that one, and about £400 on a day rate and £500 on an 18 tonne. That's what we work on. Other people might be different. That's what we work on. So, right, that's that one now. Right, we also did. Have you ever quoted too high a price and won the job? Right. Longfinger says, Big Beardy tells the truth. You won't say a bad word about it. Right. You've got to ask me the right question. I just responded to the question for the guy who turned around and said, have you ever overquoted a job and won it? And yes, I have. In fact, I didn't even do the best one because I forgot the best one. The best one, I haven't been driving a truck that long. Bear in mind also when I did the video, this has been going across, I'll give you about 3 examples across 3 years. It doesn't happen often. Mostly if you overquote, you just don't win. But the 3 examples, 2 of them when I was driving a van, so it was a little while ago. But there was one in the lorry that I forgot, where I'd either got it on the night before, I got up early, and I'd got up to, I think Birmingham or somewhere like that, and a job pings up, and it's going like Birmingham to, it was West London somewhere, when I could drive into West London without the zone. And I did the 250 a mile thing, it was like 100 miles. So I said to the guy, I went, yeah, I'll do that job for you. I said, my price is 250 quid. And he said, 350 quid? Sounds good to me. All right. Did he just say 350? I thought, should I? No. Stop. So I sat there and waited for the job to ping through, and sure enough, it came through 350 quid. Yes, well done. So it does happen. It doesn't happen often. It does happen. The other thing that I will do, though, in the interest of like transparency, is I did that one. You know, I went out for a drink actually last night because we can now drink out in pods and all that kind of stuff. And my mate Ben was there, and he was the guy he's in, I don't know, TV or something like that, and he was the one that actually said, when I started recording these videos for YouTube, it was kind of his idea, because I was doing stuff for the guy on the radio, and he said you should turn that into a YouTube thing. And he said people would like to see like a week in the life, like to share his words were to share your journey. And I went, who's interested in my life? Who wants to? What did you do? I drove a truck around, picked up some pallets, dropped off some pallets. He said no. He said they'd be interested. So what I might do is every Friday I'll just give you the rundown. You know, what this week on the CX, you know, the other mob are doing it. I'm not going to video me driving down the road to music. That's just boring. But I'll give you a roundup, how the week went, what was good, what was bad, give it you straight. You do what you like, you know. So anyway, Dave Crosby says, he takes the opposite view. He says, Pete, you're a diamond. He says, you offer so much advice to new drivers. As you say, you've never missold anybody. Wouldn't mind owning a Ferrari, never mind a truck. Don't quite know what that was about. Please keep posting, and thanks to you, mate. My pleasure. And I'm not going anywhere, don't worry about it. Chris C says, when we're talking about how high you're going to quote for an area, this is good advice. Because if you are going to quote, I mean, Al's done this before, and he's quoted a small van, Luton money, but he was in Norwich, and he said to the guy, he said, mate, he said, I've just checked the map. I'm the only one in a 50-mile radius. So you've either got to pay me my Luton van money to take this small van box back to Barton, or it ain't moving, it's staying there. And the guy went, I'll take it. So, you know, it's important to know how many vehicles are around you as well. He says, if you're the only thing around, you can probably get away with quoting more. This is true. You've got the thing on your app. You can check to see what drivers are available in your area. It's worth giving it a look. Van on a run. He says, I totally agree. Every job has its price. I regularly get jobs with a speculative punt, even in these quiet times. I've done long, short wheelbase jobs for close to £1 a mile, etc. Same as Al. You know, small van jobs, going distance, you can still get £1 a mile if you're lucky. You have to be in it to win it, and sometimes the price isn't what gets you the job. Always worth a punt. You're going to always drop the price. Going high. The only thing you don't want to do is going high and then the job sells to someone else and then you go, I missed it. But again, this kind of that, you've got to work that one out for yourself, you know. So CW Logistics says, I was in Gloucester one evening tramping for the night, and a job came through the morning, one of the COVID jobs, pinging up going into London. I didn't really want it. Again, if you don't want it, quote them an offer that you can't refuse. Quote them high, and then if you win it, you think, okay, I didn't want to do it, but for that money, I'll do it, you know. So he's from Gloucester, so he had to come back. I quoted him 90p a mile both ways. He's quoted him 90p for the return journey, so the miles there and the miles back. He said, I got the job 2 minutes later. Happy days. It happens. It doesn't happen often, but it happens. C11, yeah, my mate who told me about the mortgage. Cheers, mate. He says, I got £190 to go 190 miles. Perfect backload for me from Chester to London. COVID test again. Friday evening. Just looked at it and thought, no one else is going to want to do this. They're not. By Friday evening, everybody's nearly at home. They're not suddenly going to think, I know what I'll do. I'm going to drive 200 miles in the opposite direction. But if you're there, and you'll get, particularly if you're going that way, again, times, I've done that before. You look at a job and you think, they're going to struggle to shift that. To find a lorry in this area at that time who's going over there, they are going to struggle to shift that, and that's when you're going high. And Tesco Trent Derby, like that name. He says wise words. He said, if I want it, I quote lower. I'm not fussed. If I'm not fussed, goes higher, and round it off to suit myself. That's absolutely the side of things. So, right, I'm going to call it a day there because I want to upload this one so I can do the next one. So I'll do the next one for you tomorrow. The final word, actually, because I did do one on the walk round check, which was woefully inadequate. And the other thing to point out, as Paul Davis says, remember to check, you know, as well as doing oil, tyres, air pressures, indicators, mirrors, glass. Also remember to check that you drop properly and your top isn't inside out, because mine was. What a clown. So anyhow, hope you're well. Enjoy your Sunday. I'll bang the second half out tomorrow. Take care. Take money.